Chantelle, I am so excited. Welcome to the WorkPlay podcast.
Yay, thank you for having me. I love everything workplace, so this is going to be so much fun.
I'm so excited because A, you are a WorkPlay member, but B, I really want to talk to you about how we're going to craft the vision
Mhm.
for all of the WorkPlay members when they're going into a brand shoot. Even if you're not a WorkPlay member, you're going to get so much out of this conversation because this is really the start of creating a visual marketing campaign. So, Chantel, who are you? What is your business? And how long have you been in business?
Yay, thank you. I have been in business just over 10 years, and I started in public speaking, and then I taught public speaking, and I started to see that after doing about 1,000 speeches all over the world and helping thousands of beautiful women entrepreneurs primarily with their speech, is that the foundation of that is a powerful story. And as I started to dive into the storytelling, I started to see that there was a gift that I had in being able to see their story when they couldn't fully see it and connect the dots from their life's experience to their life's work. And then I started to play in this place of putting together, from a creative director type role, of putting together storytelling videos that really highlighted their mission, their brand, and who they really are and how they support in the world, into helping them to really create that campaign online, into being able to bring that storytelling into their books, into their speeches, into their businesses, their offers, their branding. So I started to see that storytelling actually is the thing that helps you to be able to create all that you need really to be successful in business. It holds every gold nugget that you need to be able to do that. And so that's been the place I've been playing more and more in, is more leading with story, and then all the other avenues that can come through it, like a brand photo shoot, and being able to capture the story essence through creative visual storytelling.
This is such an underrated service or skill. When I see members go through the process, they don't know that they need storytelling. They're usually like, I just don't know what to do the shoot around. So, could you tell us in a very granular way, like, what is storytelling in this process and how does it happen?
Absolutely. So I feel that that is absolutely, people see it as more of this almost fluff thing, or they don't see the value. And when you dive into the story in a really powerful way, so I teach a story branding framework, which is really getting into that glimpse of where you are in this moment. So if you guys are listening, write this down. It's a process, a framework. And then you move into what I call the diamond moment, which is really the breakdown and the breakthrough. And we all have one pivotal moment, a moment that really shifted us and put us on the path to what we're doing in the world now. It was the catalyst moment that everything shifted and changed. And even if it took time, there is that moment that really put you on the path that you're on right now. But then also looking at your life story and starting to see this timeline of events and different moments that came in that taught you different lessons, shaped you into who you are and how you do what you do. So all of those become part of it. So then the next section, after you really dive into that breakdown, breakthrough, diamond moment, is really highlighting the lessons you learned along the way, which actually becomes your framework. So this becomes that viral worthy speech. It becomes your signature course or offer. It becomes the pillars of your content, which then ties into the brand photo shoot, because now you have these solid, beautiful pillars that are actually embedded in your story, in who you are, in your essence. It's what makes you stand out. And then coming into the why is the next step of your brand framework, story brand framework. And that why comes in because when we have a why, when we understand the power of what we are doing, when we get into the emotion and the heart of the vision and what we are doing beyond just this experience, beyond just this post or this offer, that there's that bigger driving force. When we can tap into it, our story holds that. Our story shows that. We tap into the emotion, and when we can express that either through words, written or spoken, and through visuals, then that's where we start to have the momentum of what I call turning your message into a movement. And the visual piece is so crucial, especially in today's world. But being able to see the story, the lessons, the why, and then be able to relate that visually is where you start to see the bridge between the actual story and how people receive it. Because as I said before, it could be story into a book, it could be into a speech, it can be into your brand and your content on social media, it can be through visuals, but the story holds all of that knowledge of what you're actually doing in a different way that is unique to you, and also how you bring in the depth, the why, the vision that again only you have. And when you can articulate that by digging into your story, then that's where movements are made.
The story is foundational North Star for all of the things that you're creating, especially visually in your brand, because when you are the founder, the CEO, the driver of your business, you have to be able to make decisions based off of that, right?
Absolutely. And North Star is something that I say. And one thing that people come to me all the time is they don't have clarity, or they're saying the same things in a way that everybody says, like, live your best life. And I'm like, that's not you. So when you dig into your story and when you start to just talk and have that conversation, and I can hear when I do this story work, is I can hear where, that's a word, that's a phrase, that's an element of what makes you stand out, of what makes you different. You said that in a way, and they're just saying it, right? It's just because the things that are so close to us, our story is so close to us. The way that we speak just naturally is just how we do it. But then when you can have someone reflect that back to you and pick out these nuances and these words where you didn't even notice that, but that's actually the thing that's going to set you apart. That's the power right there. But it is in digging in there that everything you need to run a business is within your story. I truly believe that.
I can really see that too. This is a trend that I've been seeing not only with WorkPlay members, but just marketing in general in this industry is that people will package an offer and brand it within their brand. And it's something that I think the WorkPlay model supports business owners through. Like they're launching multiple things, working on multiple projects. You get to expand those projects visually really clearly. But when it comes to the vision of a specific offer, how do you bridge the gap between the overarching brand and then an individual offer that has its own essence and its own story? How do you bridge that gap with the foundational work?
I love that you brought that up. So I always start with the core brand. So always look at your bigger overarching story brand, right? Like the story that is everything connected. But then I love that you said, yes, every offer, everything that we create has its own energy that does fit within those pillars that you see within your core brand story. You'll find these core pillars. It always should fit within those main pillars, but it does have its own energy. It has its own transformation. It has its own story and its own journey. And so, though it can tie into the main brand story, there is for each offer an opportunity to dive into this specific story that matches with the journey that you're going to take people on. And so there is something different that comes in. Say you're hosting a retreat or a live event, there is a different story about perhaps a moment that you had this huge breakthrough or pivotal shift when you were attending an event or a retreat that may or may not be part of the main brand story. But when we dig into kind of more the micro story of the offer, then that wants to be highlighted more. And you can still bring in your overarching brand story to a degree, but we do want to actually start to dig in deeper into this specific transformation and offer. What's the story you personally, and also the transformation and journey and the story that your one is going to walk through it. So sometimes I get people to also, yes, your personal story, but it's about also looking at the transformation you're creating, the feelings you want to evoke, the emotions that you felt as you journeyed from that kind of point A to point B that now you are bringing into this offer. And then from that place, then you can start to create the customer's journey, experience, feelings, emotions, and speak right to the story that they're unfolding right now in their personal life.
So true. A lot of people, when they come into, the world of visual marketing, and they see online business owners do it. And the online business owner has a lot of different options because they're not tied down to like a big team to fulfill whatever their result that they're promising. I find that the most lost people with this type of stuff are the people that have a big team and then they have to create visuals to support a service that the team is providing. And it's not necessarily about the business owner. How does that play a role into how they're going to create the visuals while still keeping this more abstract view on it? How does someone like that do that?
I think that there is a time and a place for each aspect. So, I actually worked with a beautiful WorkPlay branding member recently on this creative visual storytelling, and she owns a dog facility. And so, she is the face of it, but she also has all these other trainers and people that work with the dogs as well as the dogs. And yet, also, because with WorkPlay branding, every quarter you get a new photo shoot. So I had her start though with the brand story, with her story. So I wanted her to be the face of it again and to dive deeper into her beautiful emotions and all of those pieces. So we're going to start with her bringing almost like a rebirth, rebrand, bringing people back into the vision and the why she started in the first place. Then I actually wanted her to do mini story sessions and highlight the dogs. So she's actually going to tell stories of her dogs, which I mean, obviously you can think about customers or clients. Dogs are those people. So it's really cute and it's a very unique business. And then moving into the next shoot after she's connected to the heart and the story of the business, the brand, and her as the founder, then we can move into the stories of others as well. And I think that there's, depending on where people are at in their journey of with their business, for her it was really important for her to come back into that place. And then I love, for example, Charity Water, the founder, did this beautiful story video and it captured his personal story and journey. But of course there's so many others, but everyone that aligns with that vision is part of the team. The team aligns with that vision. The team aligns with that story, those breakthroughs. They probably mirror that in their own life. So highlighting the founder, highlighting the overarching brand, even if it's a lot of different people, then getting into more of the micro stories of allowing each person in the industry, in the business, to find their own story connected to the greater vision, connected to the brand, and then highlighting those. And not only will it help this cohesive feel within the brand, but it'll also help each individual team member to remember their why they said yes to being a part of it, to getting more passionate about growing with this team and this business and this vision, and also help others to be able to connect more deeply with them as well.
I'm so glad that you mentioned how it connects the team back to the business. I think
Mhm.
that's a very, I don't want to use the word underrated again, but it's something that people don't think about when they're creating a brand. And yes, there's all of these marketing things that you're putting out there. They're beautiful. It's going to make a splash. It's going to do all the things. It's going to bring in all the money for you. But what people don't realize is that people are watching, and when they like what they see, they are saying, like, I want to go work for that company. And so it has these ripple effects that you don't even realize.
I have goosebumps because I'm like, we're hitting on something really important here. And so I just want to reiterate it. Even with WorkPlay branding, I feel like you guys have done this very well in the most lovely humans in every point. And there's all kinds of point people doing different roles and different things. But I do feel like you have such a vision not only for the way that people feel when they're in your presence and the essence of it. And I don't know how deep you've gone, but it feels like you have. It shows because every point person has that essence. And so I think that even without fully, maybe, but you have intentionally done it, but also knowing that you're creating a bond and a connection with each team member, which then is this cohesive ecosystem, which then just amplifies the original brand and everything in it. And so, yes, values, yes, all of those pieces. But then when you can dive into that on such a deep level, people coming into it may not realize it, but you're creating this cohesive story that
Mm.
each of you are mirroring, each of you are part of, each of you are creating together, which is really beautiful.
I've always thought of the storytelling and the visuals as such a great way to make things tangible.
Yes.
So it's like when you get the when you plan the story, when you create the story in this way, and then you execute a tangible asset based off of that, it's like you get to see it in front of you. Obviously everything's like digitalized now. You could print out, you know, your visual campaigns if you wanted to, but there's like this transformation that happens, or this mirror that happens when you're able to see your story in front of you in a visual way that is encapsulating everything that you just worked on and refined. That's a really powerful thing to have the two in tandem working together in your business. Because again, it creates that ripple effect. There's a story that you have told me, and I know you told our WorkPlay members this story, and I want you to retell it because it shows how you can take something like a service that is maybe not mundane, but just like, oh, yeah, there's web designers everywhere. You took a service that is a common service in an online service agency space, and you created a vision for this person to then turn it into what you call a movement. Can you walk us through what happened there? What's that process? Because I know there's so many people sitting here saying, like, okay, that's great. I grew up in a suburban town and I just, found this after college or in 2020 and I'm just this. How can that turn into a movement when there's so many other people like me doing the same thing?
Yes, I had a client who I was actually speaking at an event in Colombia, which was absolutely wonderful. But I did a mini story session for her. So I didn't know her very well at all, pulled her out of the audience, and she just gave me this snippet, very short snippet of her life story, which is what I do, right? Just tell me your life story in 5 minutes or less. No big deal, right? And when I asked her what she did, she said, well, I make websites easy for people to, I'm a website designer, but I make it easy for people to get in. And that was kind of her thing. She had this like cute little logo that was like this cartoony kind of logo of her in these jeans. That was like her branding logo and things like that. But I was like, it just feels kind of flat. Like it doesn't feel like she wasn't excited. And this is a key. If you say something about your business to someone and you don't have a fire in you when you say it, there's a hint that you want to go deeper with that. Like you should feel so fired up, so lit up by your own story, your own vision, what you're here to do. And if you don't, then dig into that story. But so as she started to talk, she said, well, like I went through this really hard time personally and I was trying to find my way. And she's this beautiful Black woman and she had moved to a different city. And she's like, do you know how hard it is to find a good Black hairstylist? And so she started this website, blackhairstylist.com. And she's like, I didn't have very much money at all. I was DIYing it, but I felt called to do this website and I learned all the how-tos of doing it myself on a budget. And that's what I want for people, is that like original idea to be able to get out into the world without needing to spend thousands and thousands of dollars when you don't actually maybe have it. And I was like, there it is. And she's like, what? And she didn't see it still. And then as she started to talk, she talked about some of the challenges and the things that she had gone through and the ways that she was a voice for movements, for getting behind activism and having that strong presence in her own personal life. But she didn't see the connection to her business. And then I said, you don't build websites, you create platforms for movements, and you help people who have a vision to be able to execute it themselves so that they don't have to wait any longer or on anyone else to get that movement started. And all it takes is that one place, That one voice, and your websites are what that is. And so it was this piece of, then with her photo shoot, she was just going to be the girl next door, and I was like, that's not really you. You're a firecracker. And so we had her in this gorgeous red dress, and she had picked out, and she got emotional when we talked about it. She had picked out magazine covers and newspaper articles of powerful Black women and men who were speaking their truth and creating movements, and she had them in picture frames behind her. And she had all of these elements that brought in this essence of her activism, of what she really stands for. And she thought they had to be separate, but they're not. And when you can start to see the blend of the things that make you who you are, the things that matter outside of your business should be the things that matter inside of it. And when you can start to see that there's a bridge between both things, which is your story, then the clarity comes. Then the power to the words, the message, the mission, and the vision, and the way you feel about it. Because then I help people create platforms for their movements, was so much different than, I'm a website designer, DIY website designer, help you build your website, all on your own, right? It's like so different. And then her visuals came in, like we went into all of the pillars of what she really wanted to say. And there were strong pictures. Like one was her holding a stop sign, of like this visual of like, we got to stop doing these things, right? Like it was this call to action. And again, the like bringing people into that feel. So it's about knowing the story, and then what are the feelings? There's such a difference between the energy of her brand before and her brand after, captured through the visuals. So what do we want people to feel? She wants to speak with people and work with people that are on missions to create movements that have things that matter, that they speak up for. She doesn't just want someone that's DIYing over here, just doing the thing because that's how they're going to make some money, right? Do you see the difference now of the quality of clients that she gets to work with, of the projects that she gets to put her name behind, of the excitement that she will have of being a part of those grassroots launching into these movements experiences, right?
The most successful members that go through our process do this.
Yeah.
And I've seen it time and time again. 7-figure launch, 6-figure launch here, 7-figure launch there. And they're doing it in this way that is what you're describing. It's not just a website designer. You have something that is a force that's coming through. When we're able to capture that, that's when you get those 6-7-figure launches.
And what you can do on your own too is like taking the essence of that offer, and again coming back to the feelings and the emotions, but then trying to visually get creative around, if we are to have these essences and feelings, and then also tangibles. So what are some of the tangibles of your offer? What are some of the tangible pieces? Can we then bring in a prop? Can we then get creative on how to describe that, how to get people to feel the essence and the vision of that without saying a thing, right? And so it's like capturing the essence of it through visual creativity. So just get creative and think outside the box around, how could I capture the feeling of this in a picture?
I find that when members, or just people, business owners in general, get clarity on something that is bigger than themselves, or they get an idea that's bigger than what they've ever thought of themselves or by themselves, but they're really excited about it, there can be self sabotage because your mind is like, whoa, like, I don't know if we can do that. I don't see anyone else doing that. Can we do that? Have you seen that before? And how do you work through that if someone's experiencing maybe even a little bit of imposter syndrome?
Absolutely. I think that it's, again, when we come back to the essence of the story, that even if we capture it in a really bold way. So even if I go back to the client in the beginning, she's like, have I worn a dress like this before? And we don't want to ever put someone in a place where they don't feel themselves. So we had other pictures where she was in the jeans and she was in the pieces, but I helped her to see that this red symbolized power. It symbolized a feeling, an emotion. It is connected to that, like that stop energy, that vibrant energy, that power energy. And so then it's not about her wearing the dress. It's about her embodying the emotion of what she's trying to say. And so it's just like when I used to teach, and I still do, but teaching public speaking, it's that we drop our ego at the door and we lean into, how can I be of service to my one? If we focus on our one, if we focus on the person who's seeing that image, if we focus on that person who's going to read those words, it's going to evoke an emotion with them by seeing that visual, then we're taking ourselves out of that place of thinking we're not enough. We're, it's too much. I'm going to be too noisy, too loud, too different. I might rock the boat a little bit, or whatever that might be that's coming up. And it shifts it from, what am I standing for? And what is the message that I'm trying to say to these people for them to feel by seeing this image? And so it shifts it from, it's about me being the center. And yes, you are in the image, you are part of the story, but it's then about the feeling that's coming back as you mirror that out to your one. So a lot of times we get caught in our own stories as business owners. We all need help coming out of that. But if we focus on our one, if we focus on that person who needs that hope, who is ready for that breakthrough, who is desiring that beautiful message that you're going to deliver, who wants to feel seen. And we realize that if we looked at them, of course, we'd be like, you wear that red dress. You be in that water and that energy of that flow. You own that. And then it's just mirroring back to those people through your image, what you see in them. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
you're doing it for your one versus doing it about you. When we take our ego out of the equation, where we take ourselves in the sense of, we're showing this picture, we're telling this story, not for myself, but for my one to see themselves in it. Then
Mhm.
it brings a different element and energy.
Especially when you're in front of the camera on the day of, there is another element of, oh my gosh, I have to perform a little
Mm.
bit, or I have to be perfect in this essence, or it's not going to come across. What you're saying is extremely helpful.
In a masterclass that we did together, we went a little bit deeper on this. And this was one of the pieces that I was saying, is that in order to really feel into that, you need to feel into that. So let yourself take a moment to get into the story piece that you're about to tell. So yes, like, it's so amazing. You're in a full day with your photographer with WorkPlay branding, or right, you're in that energy and you're going from all these locations and it can feel, but if you then intentionally, even just 1 minute of, what is the message that I'm saying with this set? What am I here to say with this prop, with this energy, with what we're creating? And you sink into the emotion and you feel it in your body. That's where embodiment work comes in, right? But you feel it in your body, then it's going to come through.
Hmm.
And so ignore the camera. I know for me too, like when we did a shoot, and I've done other shoots, when I just almost get lost in the moment, where maybe I'm playing the sound bowls, or maybe I'm, in just a quiet space of contemplation, then those images are capturing just the real essence of who I am in this beautiful way, because it's elevated and gorgeous, the pictures and all of that, of course, but it's the true essence that then is felt through each capture.
That's why there's so much synergy between storytelling and the workplay method. That's what we tell people all the time. Like, don't look at us. We want to capture what you're doing, and what you're doing when you're in it will come through. Let us take the angles. And then that's when you get like these images that people are like, oh, I want to be in that. I want to do that. I want to see what this is about.
And you do it beautifully, and it's not like these posed shots, right? Yes, there's some of those where we can work with that, but for the most part, I feel like, I know when I was playing in the waves and you were just like, just have fun and, like, be in it, as I was playing with the sand. And it was this moment of, that was a beautiful moment for me to experience while you were capturing it. And I was so present with it. And then you captured these beautiful, beautiful moments of just beyond. There was even one I remember of the bird flying behind me, the waves are crashing, I have sand flowing through my fingers, my hair is blowing, and I'm just in complete presence. And it almost brings tears to my eyes when I see that picture because I'm like, whoa, there she is.
Yeah, it's a mirror to who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah,
I want to get very granular. I know that we've gone very deep, but I want to almost go back up to the surface for a second.
perfect.
You are a WorkPlay member.
Yes.
How do you prepare for your shoots? What are some tips and tricks in your toolbox that you use to execute your vision, but then prepare for the day ahead?
For the first shoot, it really was this piece of when I was thinking about it, it was like a rebirth story for me. I had been going through a lot of my own journey, a lot of healing. I had stepped back a little bit from my business. And so for this one, it wasn't so much about an offer, it was about almost reintroducing myself to my audience. Come back to what is the purpose? For me, it was the story. So it was coming back to reintroduce myself. For the next one, it's going to be about my offers. It's going to be about me being on stage. It's going to be about the circles that I'm creating. So I have that vision of now here's what my offers are about. So then it's the bigger vision of the story and the reintroduction, then the bigger vision of the overview of my work and how I bring people together. Then the next one will be more granular of an actual event experience. So each person will be at a different stage. But I think the biggest thing is know what you're sharing and why. Know what you're sharing and why in the next quarter. What is the purpose of this? Do you need to reintroduce yourself? Do you need to share a higher level of your brand story? Are you launching a program or an offer? And that's the focus. So get clear on that, get clear on the emotion, get clear on the essence of how you can then portray that, and then let the magic unfold. Also, when you're on your shoot, let yourself just be present and let the beautiful WorkPlay branding capture you in your essence, but also have your eyes open and be like, huh, what about that? What about that? Because there could be things that you might not have planned for that are in your environment or places you could go and be that could be the perfect picture.
Ah, I love that. Prepare, but then let go. You know, I want us to talk about what you're doing inside of the method and how it's coming together because the WorkPlay branding team has come together with Chantelle to create an amazing offer for everyone to get this type of work done as you're moving through the quarter. So if you're like saying, this is exactly what I need, I just need a little help getting it out of me, this is going to be for you. So do you want to walk us through exactly what you do with WorkPlay members from start to finish and then how they can use that in tandem with the method?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a creative visual storytelling. Really, it's like having a creative director before the shoot. And so we will actually go in, you'll get your brand story, which is beautiful just on its own to have that clarity, the messaging, so that I have the then jumping off point of being able to have, okay, now I know who you are, your essence, your why, your vision. So you're going to get super clear just on your overall vision and business from that story session. Then we get granular. Then we go into the story marketing map. So that's really about what's coming up, what's the offer, where are we going with this for the next quarter? So I will help you get clear on that. And it might be multiple offers. It might be one offer. It might be, like I said, it might be just a coming back into like, this is my rebirth. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. But whatever that is for you, we'll find that. We'll dive in really deep into what is the offer? What is the transformation? What are the emotions and feelings? What is the results, the tangibles that you're going to give your audience so that then we have this huge overview. And then from there, it's going to be story content mapping. So that's where it's let's get clear on some of the ideas. So I actually will walk you through your content map. So then for the quarter, you'll tell these stories. This is a social media campaign idea that you can do. This is going to be a post idea. This is a reel idea if you're adding on the reels and the support with video, because you can also do that with WorkPlay branding. So we will then get super granular where you're going to have this list of all the post ideas and stories that go with them. And again, like I said, it could be a campaign. So for example, with the beautiful um, the one that works with the puppies, she's actually going to highlight each of the puppies. And if you think about it, how much we love our dogs, they're like a part of the family. And so this is a social media campaign idea where each of the puppies is going to have their own story, because she told this story of this one beautiful puppy that came in so terrified and so triggered. And then by the end of it, there was this moment where she was painting the house, and all the dogs, she has the dogs like basically live with her, and so all the dogs are running around and super playful. And she said this Balthazar was his name. He comes barreling in and starts to play. And she was like, oh my goodness. And then his tail was wagging and he was chasing the other dogs. And he had never done that before. And it was like this breakthrough moment for this puppy. And so, anyways, she's going to highlight these little story vignettes of these puppies. And we all love puppy pictures, puppy stories. And she's going to capture it and then tag the owners. And guess what that's going to do? They're going to want to share that on their social media. And guess what that's going to do? People are going to say, who is this? I want her to take care of my puppies. Referrals are going to come flooding in, right? And so that's good kind of magic. So we take it from like the big brand story into the marketing map of the next quarter, into the granular of the content and what it's going to actually look like, what posts you're going to do, and what the essence of it all is. And then we get into the fun, creative part of it. So then now that we have all the content, we know what offer we're promoting or the focus of it, then we go back and say, okay, now I want you to take a picture with this. For her, I actually want her to have her photo album of her as a little girl with all of her animals. And so she's going to have a picture of her looking back over these pictures of her as this little girl, which then goes back with matching her story. It's that piece of then creatively, what are the elements? What are the props? What are the visuals? Where are the locations that all match the essence, the feel of what we are then capturing for that content plan for the next quarter? Yeah.
It's incredible. And I'm so grateful that you're able to do this on a quarterly basis with people and have that as an offer. I do have one more question for you.
Yes.
This is something that I ask every single guest. Why do you believe that it is worth it to create the visuals in this non traditional way through the process? Why do you think it's worth it to do it 4 times a year?
Yeah, because our story is ever evolving. And I feel like I'm ready for my next shoot. And also, I have changed a lot and I can see with more clarity, even deeper, what I want to create. And so it's this beautiful process of if we aren't. If we aren't growing and changing, right? We're not growing and changing, and we should be. And so, if we think that we get one photo shoot and it's going to cover us for the entire year, there is this piece of this element of capturing the growth and the evolution of you and your story throughout the year. But then to have these fresh perspectives, these fresh ideas that really match what you're about to offer and that feel unique and different, perhaps, or have a slightly different angle as well. That's a beautiful thing to be able to have that really geared towards what you're offering. So it doesn't just feel like a blanket picture that you use for all the things. It's really specific to what you're sharing, what you're offering. And so it embeds with the story. But I think the biggest piece is to capture throughout the journey. And we're all on this journey and we're always changing and growing. So I love that you can capture the seasons of our life.
Thank you so much for coming on the WorkPlay podcast. Where can everyone find you? See all the amazing content that you've made inside of the method.
Absolutely. So at Chantelle Speaks is my Instagram. That's where I love to hang out mostly. And then chantelleadams.com is my website. But come and say hello and let me know that you heard the podcast and tell me what your favorite takeaway was or how you're implementing it. I would love to have that convo with you.
Thank you so much.
Yay!